First of all, Mahashivratri. It's glad that on such an auspicious day we could do the podcast. Thank you so much for giving the time.
No, not at all.
If you can just describe, sir, सुबह से हम आपको फॉलो कर रहे थे, वो सारे शॉट्स हम दिखाएंगे, क्या क्या शुरू किया एंड क्या क्या ऐसे रिचुअल्स थे.
शिवरात्रि का जो आयोजन होता है
हाँ.
वो यहाँ पे अगर मंडी की बात करिए, प्राचीन रियासत होती थी. यहाँ पे जो रियासत थी 1948 में,
हाँ.
वो फिर यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया का हिस्सा बन गया और एक ज़िला बन गया.
हाँ.
तो मंडी उसके बाद इट इज़ अ डिस्ट्रिक्ट सिंस देन. जो ड्यूटीज़ कुछ ऐसी सेरेमोनियल ड्यूटीज़ जो राजा करते थे वो वेस्ट फिर उसके बाद डिप्टी कमिश्नर मंडी में करने लगे.
ओके.
शिवरात्रि का आयोजन सदियों से यहाँ पे हो रहा है. लगभग 500 साल हो गए यहाँ पे शिवरात्रि का आयोजन होते हुए. जो राजा मंडी के थे उन्होंने शुरुआत की थी.
अच्छा.
उसमें आपको ज्ञात है, आपको नॉलेज है कि मंडी में देवी देवता कल्चर है. मंडी में, कुल्लू में. तो मंडी में जो राजा उस टाइम के थे उन्होंने लगभग 150 से 200 देवी देवताओं को यहाँ पे आमंत्रित करते थे शिवरात्रि के दौरान. तो जो मंडी जो वर्तमान में आज जैसे आपने देखा जो शहर है, कोर है आजकल शहर का, वहीं पे वो आते थे देवी देवता.
अच्छा.
वहीं पे जो आजकल तो खैर काफ़ी बिल्डिंग्स है बट जितनी ओपन एरियाज़ होते थे वहीं पे वो बैठते थे. ऐसे ही शिवरात्रि का आयोजन किया जाता था. लोकल आर्ट एंड कल्चर का परफॉर्मेंस वगैरह रहता था एंड द राजा यूज्ड टू बी द पेट्रन. वो ड्यूटीज़ अब गवर्नमेंट को और ज़िला प्रशासन को है. वो मेला शिवरात्रि उसका रूप चेंज हो गया होगा बट 216 देवी देवता, बड़े देवी देवता यहाँ पे उनको आमंत्रित किया जाता है. वो इस मेले में आते हैं. देव मिलन होता है, वो एक दूसरे को मिलते हैं. परंपराएं होती हैं और श्रद्धालु दूर दूर से, और शहर के ही नहीं, दूर दूर से श्रद्धालु आते हैं जो उनके दर्शन करने आते हैं देवी देवताओं के. और इस तरीके से जो माधव राय जी, जहाँ पे जो एक कृष्ण जी का रूप है, माधव राय जी के ब्लेसिंग्स के साथ, भोलेनाथ के ब्लेसिंग्स के साथ, और इन देवी देवताओं और खासकर कमरू नाग, जो बड़ा देव बोलते हैं, कमरू नाग आते हैं यहाँ पे. उनके सबकी छत्र छाया में ये मेले का आयोजन होता है. धीरे धीरे इसमें जो और सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट ये है कि जो पूजा होती है शिवरात्रि की जो आज आपने देखी है वो फिर उस हवन के एक रूप में की जाती है और उसके साथ मेले का आगाज़ होता है.
अच्छा. आप हिमाचल से ही हो सर?
मेरे पूर्वज हिमाचल से हैं बट अभी मैं मेरी फैमिली चंडीगढ़ में बेस्ड है.
So where you were born and brought up?
I was born in Ludhiana. My father was an Air Force officer.
Okay.
So I've been brought up around the country.
Okay.
But अभी बेस परिवार का चंडीगढ़ है.
Anyone from the services like bureaucracy? Families?
No. My both sets of my grandparents were teachers.
Okay.
My mother was a teacher.
हाँ.
So
single child.
हाँ, तो फार ऑफ मे बी फार ऑफ रिलेशन में दे हैव बीन ऑफिसर्स बट आई थिंक इमीडिएट फैमिली में नो वन इन द सिविल सर्विसेज.
Okay. So it's been like 10 years down the line you were in the service?
I am completing 10 years in the IAS this year.
हाँ.
A year before that I worked in the Indian Railway Traffic Service.
Okay.
For a year.
2014 you cracked the exam first?
Yes.
Okay.
So the 2013 exam.
Okay, 13.
Then 2014 exam. उससे पहले मैंने 2 साल भारत पेट्रोलियम में काम किया है.
अच्छा.
After engineering.
Okay. What engineering you did?
I am a mechanical engineer.
Which college?
पंजाब Engineering College.
चंडीगढ़.
चंडीगढ़. पेक के नाम से जाना जाता है.
हाँ.
उसके बाद मैं नौकरी करने निकल गया भारत पेट्रोलियम. फिर वहाँ से देन आई डिसाइडेड दैट आई विल गिव द एग्जाम. फिर देन आई लेफ्ट द जॉब.
बाइक फैन?
हाँ.
Can we see?
हाँ ऑफ कोर्स.
Like where you ride mostly? अभी टाइम मिलता है, वक्त मिलता है?
कम मिलता है. आई मोस्टली राइड इन द हिल्स एंड आई एम मोस्टली रैली नाउ. सो ये रैली के लिए ज़रूरी होता है नाम और ब्लड ग्रुप लिखा टैंक पे, हेलमेट पे. आई मोस्टली रैली नाउ.
You make videos also. I think this is for the GoPro, right?
GoPro. So I try to do that whenever I get the time. Nowadays I get lesser time because the phone is ringing constantly. आप ऐसा नहीं कर सकते कि phone cannot be out of reach. Nowadays DC का phone cannot be out of reach.
This is your first DC posting?
Technically third. for a month or so, I was DC Kinnaur.
Okay.
I was because I was appointed by Election Commission to conduct elections.
Okay.
So and thereafter for a year I was DC Chamba. And वहाँ से यहाँ पे तबादला हुआ तो as DC मंडी.
एक कहावत है, मतलब कहावत क्या मैं काफ़ी बार सुना हूँ कि कैडर्स लाइक हिमाचल, उत्तराखंड, यहाँ तो ज़्यादा काम नहीं होता है कंपैरेटिव टू अदर स्टेट. व्हाट्स द रियलिटी व्हेन यू स्पीक टू योर बैचमेट्स posted in different cadres and you see yourself? What is the reality?
That's a myth. Actually आप कई ऐसी पोस्ट भी मानी जाती है ना. फॉर एग्जाम्पल देयर पोस्ट लाइक कंट्रोलर प्रिंटिंग एंड स्टेशनरी. कंट्रोलर प्रिंटिंग एंड स्टेशनरी क्या करता होगा? तो ये ऐसा देखने से लगता है देयर इज वर्क एवरीवेयर. वो बस ये है कि सम वर्क इज विजिबल टू द पब्लिक, some work is not visible to the public, some work involves more public interaction.
Can you define it more?
For example, the post of the DC, it involves a lot of public interaction, so it gains a lot of importance. That is why the post of DC gains a lot of importance. But there are so many other posts, just like the one I told you about, and for example, a lot of people would not know that an IAS officer is not the DC all the time. DC is not the only post for an IAS officer. आगे बढ़ते हुए अधिकारी डायरेक्टर भी होता है किसी डिपार्टमेंट का, अधिकारी सेक्रेटरी होता है. एक अधिकारी सेक्रेटरी सिर्फ स्टेट गवर्नमेंट में नहीं होता, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट में भी होता है. एंड सेक्रेटरी के भी विभिन्न रैंक्स हैं जी. वो भी पोस्ट है. अब दोज डू नॉट इन्वॉल्व अ लॉट ऑफ पब्लिक इंटरेक्शन. दोज इन्वॉल्व पॉलिसी मेकिंग, दोज इन्वॉल्व थिंकिंग ऑफ वर्किंग आउट स्कीम्स. सो दोज आर नॉट विजिबल टू द पीपल. So and then there are other posts. So that is one aspect of the job. Then there is another aspect that जो ऐसे पोस्ट होते हैं हमें लगता है कि इसमें तो यार काम ही नहीं है, we would not like this post. There is work in every post. It is what you make the most of it. अगर कोई काम करने वाला व्यक्ति उस पोस्ट में जाएगा वो काम करेगा. Now let's come to the cadres जो आपने बात की. तो similarly कार्डर्स में भी ऐसा ही है. हमारे यहाँ पे इफ आई कंपेयर हिमाचल प्रदेश से टू अ प्लेन्स वाला स्टेट, पंजाब की बात करते हैं. पंजाब में द नेचर ऑफ द स्टेट, द लोकल वर्क कल्चर, द सोसाइटी इज़ वेरी डिफरेंट. सो वहाँ पे जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का काम है, परहैप्स द वर्क द DC इज डूइंग विल इन्वॉल्व मोर फोकस ऑन परहैप्स लॉ एंड ऑर्डर. आवर फोकस इज मोर ऑन डेवलपमेंट. So I get the bandwidth to do that because I don't have to deal a lot with law and order. We do have to deal with law and order. We do give sufficient attention to it when the occasion arises. But I do get the bandwidth to do so many development works. So that is how Himachal then becomes different from other cadres. So there is always work. There is work. You're working late in the night. The DC residence, just like other states, the DC residence has a camp office because we have to work at night. And during the day, the day of the DC involves a lot of public dealing. So during the day, you have to give time to the people. And all the paperwork, etc., all the file work, etc., then that has to come home. And then you deal with, because you can't keep pending it, no, कि that I'll do it in the office only. वो आप घर आएगा काम, वो आपको घर पे करना है. So दिन वैसे ही चलता है जैसे बाकी. और आप दूसरे ज़िलों से, अगर आप दूसरे स्टेट से कंपेयर करना चाहो, मंडी ज़िले में ही दूसरे राज्यों के 4-5 ज़िले आ सकते हैं. अच्छा. मंडी ज़िले में अकेला. अच्छा. मंडी इज लेंथ वाइज, एरिया वाइज, ज्योग्राफी वाइज. आई अंडरस्टैंड. For example, Chandigarh is hardly, I think 100 square kilometers का एरिया होगा. पॉपुलेशन नो डाउट लगभग इतनी ही होगी, हमसे थोड़ी ज़्यादा होगी. बट वो एरिया ही ट्रैवर्स करने में, वो काम करने में, ये 12 सब डिविजन्स को देखने में, 10 असेंबली कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज को देखने में, 10 असेंबली कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज इन मंडी डिस्ट्रिक्ट, वो देखने में ही द ज्योग्राफी रिक्वायर्स अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम. So there is always work. It's a myth कि काम नहीं होता है. The states are always different. The cadres will always be different. Himachal as a hill state will be different from Uttarakhand cadre. The work culture will be different. The society is different. We are similar in many ways, but we are also different.
You all do state training before you come to the service, जो आप लोगों को लिबासना एंड बाकी ट्रेनिंग में सिखाया जाता है कि what are the work and how you to look after the states. How you study a district before coming to a district? As you mentioned that there are 10 constituencies, so 10 MLAs are there. There are 10 governing bodies. Under you, there are so many people, SDM, BDA, BLRO, and वो लोग set है. And being a leader, आपको कभी कभार नहीं, you need to be harsh, you need to be slow down, you need to understand the game because everybody is well connected in a system. How you study so that upcoming officers can learn from you.
So you're right. Our 2-year training, which is also the duration of our probation, it involves district training as well.
Okay.
So we spend around 7-8 months, at least during our time.
In your cadre?
In our cadre. Okay. From the academy, after phase 1 training,
okay,
we go to the state. For example, I came to Himachal Pradesh, and then वहाँ पे district allot होता है, district state allot करता है. And just like I am the deputy commissioner now, I had a deputy commissioner who trained me. So the deputy commissioner during those 8 months or so is responsible for training, exposing the officer to what you're required to do, and what are the practical realities of the job, what are the practical realities of the state, and make you a better man and a better officer, so that when you go back to phase 2, you're ready for what phase 2 has to offer you, phase 2 of training in the academy. And phase 2 of training then adds more theoretical and practical experiences, and then when we come back to the state, we are perhaps more ready. It is always difficult going to a new district. For example, when I first went to Chamba, I have not been posted to that side. I did not know anyone.
Also first visit?
Also, no, not.
Ever been to Chamba
yes,
before that?
On the motorcycle.
Okay.
Before joining the service, I rode down to Chamba. There is a remote valley, Pangi.
Okay.
That was before joining the service, and in fact, I think I was in the IRTS, and I just got the rank to join the IAS, and that was the first visit. और DC चंबा जाने से पहले भी मैं रैली के लिए गया था. वहाँ पे रैली ऑफ चंबा होती है एक. तो रैली ऑफ चंबा. So I rode down for the rally as well. Took a few days off, and so they have been. But I did not. I knew the geography. I perhaps knew Chamba. I understood Chamba a lot better than probably other people. But that was still administratively as a unit. There was little understanding.
Okay.
So when you go there, you have to know the people. You have to know the public you're trying to serve. You have to know the important people there. You have to know the elected representatives, who is who, and you also have to know your team. So when you're dealing with new officers altogether, you also try to find out their track record, how they work. You find out who their controlling officers, reporting officers in other postings were. Take some feedback from them, and then you also need to learn from the previous work experience. So my previous work experience does tell me how to deal with, how to work with people, different kinds of people. There are, of course, different kinds of officers. Some are very hardworking, some are probably not as hardworking. So then you have to you have to adopt different strategies in how you are able to get work out of them. Because and ultimately it's teamwork. We have to realize there is always a captain of the team. Ultimately it's teamwork. Team makes the dream work.
But watching a team from the gallery and be on the ground is a different game. So I just want to learn this thing from you, because I have a small team, and being a leader, the people down, they always feel कि यार सर के तो life sorted है, इनकी तो जिंदगी मजे है. But only you understand how much pressure you get sometimes from the up, but you cannot every time penetrate the pressure. फिर उनमें एक clash हो जाएंगे. वो जो एक leader की mentality होता है, वो कैसे आप करते हो?
I think it is something we learn on the job.
Okay.
What's
your escape route when you are frustrated and too much into pressure?
Nothing. I've stopped taking pressure.
How? Was it so easy?
Because I just started taking one day at a time, one challenge at a time.
Don't you get stressed out or tensed about situations?
We do. There have been times that we get pretty worked up. But I think I have grown now over the past say 1 year. I've grown to be a much calmer person.
Okay.
And again, my strategy is simple: one challenge at a time, one day at a time, You of course plan ahead because I can foresee the challenges that will come. You plan ahead, you work ahead so that you are relaxed. For example, Shivratri is a big challenge. Organizing it's a huge festival for us, and you need to have everything in place. You need to do better than last year. You need to improve. You need to make arrangements better. So, and that's a very challenging task. And this task is in addition to our other duties.
Normal day to
day. The other work that we are doing. So it is an addition. So while we are doing that, so that's a challenge, right? But then what we learned was, what we realized was, we worked months in advance.
Okay.
So you have to foresee, you have to plan for ahead, and also whenever challenges arise, whenever stressful things arise, I also make it a point that I, for example, some of the officers in my team that you have seen today, you have met today, they're all experienced officers. You count on that experience. However junior and official is, clerk ही क्यों ना हो, they have some experience. They have some insights to give you. कि सर ये ऐसे करते आए हैं, ये ऐसे हो सकता है, इसमें ऐसे improve कर सकते हैं. If you don't listen to them, that's a bad leader. You have to listen. You have to give them responsibilities. You have to give them credit for the work they have done. And any stressful situation, while you, of course, when you have a team, you share the burden with them. You understand, you gain their lessons or take some wisdom from them also about how to deal with those situations. But at the end of the day, you should not let any pressure come on your team as well. You have to, as an ideal leader, an ideal deputy commissioner will absorb that pressure. I'm not saying that I'm the most ideal. There are times when perhaps the pressure goes down as well. But yes, an ideal leader absorbs the pressure, shields the team, a team which is working hard and doing genuine work. You shield your team as well. And whatever challenge is being thrown at the team, take it one day at a time, one challenge at a time. And I think it's okay. I've become much calmer as a person, and
I'm curious about this thing, and I want to go to Iris. Like, how you learned this, become calmer. It's not an easy job. The way you said, everybody must think, it's a very easy job. But it's one of the difficult jobs. Because I was watching an interview of Dhoni. He said, I learned this art to be calm in the tough situations. So, like, what made you or how you did it?
So, being calm also means that it doesn't mean being calm in a
situation. Don't you get
situation.
angry? Gussa nahi aata?
Gusse, how does it help? It doesn't really help. There are two things.
But as a human nature, you will get angry.
There are two things. Again, we talk about a leadership position. There are two things. One, you need to be. फिर अंकल के साथ उधर जाएंगे, साथ से चलने, गिरना नहीं है, ठीक है भाई? क्या हाल बना अच्छा, गिरना ही है, अच्छा ठीक है अच्छा आजा. In a leadership position,
अंकल डोल बज रहा है.
डांस
कहाँ डल रहा है, कहाँ बज रहा है?
नीचे.
तो जाके देखना है, जाओ अंकल के साथ जाके देख के आओ, जल्दी देख के आओ, बाहर देख के आओ, ढोल कहाँ बज रहा है, ढोल. You'll agree that in a leadership position and any team that exists has to get some work done. Either the team is doing well, they're meeting the timelines and all the work is being done, or it is not. When it is not being done, you have two options. In your leadership position, you have two options. You have to be firm. काम तो करना है. There is no escape.
ठीक है.
And then being firm is very different from being angry. Be firm. You can be firm yet polite.
Okay.
So I am firm.
That's an art.
You can be firm yet polite, and there are also, and it also means that जब काम नहीं हो रहा है, तब आप समझा रहे हैं, आप काम करने के लिए कह रहे हैं, और आप उसके बारे में firm हैं कि आपको काम करना है.
ठीक है.
Polite. आपको, that doesn't mean you lose your cool. Doesn't mean you lose your cool. And of course, it also means that when good work is being done, you appreciate it. We have stopped appreciating good work when it is done. I think I have seen very few people, very few organizations doing it anymore.
Okay.
So that does bring, I would say, loyalty. That does bring more work, as in better outcomes from the entire team. So that is all. Then again, there is another thing, that there are certain people who are hell-bent upon not working. So then you have the paper route as well, so that they are taken to task even after many reprimands. That does not culminate into better outcomes from that individual. You of course have to adopt the other sterner route as well. That still doesn't mean why should I lose my cool and spoil my day for the rest of the day. I used to feel very bad at the end of the day if I had to be angry at someone. So why should I lose my cool and my peace of mind? It's very, very important.
Looking at you and वक्त बिता के मुझे एक चीज़ समझ आया. You're a calm person. I didn't feel like you were mischievous in your school days or college days. Were you naughty?
My parents, Fauji father,
Oh.
teacher mother. So my parents were very
Strictness.
strict, very strict. हाँ. So ऐसा naughty होने का नहीं time ही नहीं मिला. I can't. Perhaps the only naughty.
So what used to do? Like always study and be at home. Good boy.
Mostly पढ़ाई. मोस्टली पढ़ाई एंड शाम को खेलने का समय मिल जाता था. बट मैं दो शैतानी ज़रूर करता था. एक तो मुझे छुप के किताबें पढ़ने का बहुत शौक था. नॉवेल्स.
बट छुप के क्यों? Like
क्योंकि नॉवेल्स पढ़ाई वाली किताबें नहीं थी ना.
अच्छा.
छुप के नॉवेल्स पढ़ने का बहुत शौक था. तो मैं रादर दैन जेई की तैयारी करना, मैं मेरी वहाँ पे हार्डी बॉयज़ या कोई ऐसे जेफरी आर्चर खुली होती थी नीचे. तो एक बार ऐसे भी हुआ है कि मेरे को पढ़ना एंट्रेंस एग्ज़ाम के लिए था और मैं किताब दूसरी पढ़ रहा था. तो मेरे माता श्री ने देख ली वो किताब. उन्होंने वो स्टोव पे रखी और स्टोव ऑन कर दिया. बस उसके बाद तो एक वो नॉटीनेस तो आई थिंक एक वो कह सकते हो. दूसरा मुझे आई ऑलवेज बीन फॉन्ड ऑफ वाचिंग टेलीविजन.
Okay.
तो जब
That time there was not much channels.
केबल टेलीविजन तो जो भी आता था तो कम भी आता था. बट आई वॉज फॉन्ड ऑफ वॉचिंग टेलीविजन. तो ये
What do you used to watch? Movies?
हाँ, मूवीज.
Is there anything when you look back and now you miss in your life?
Time with family.
Wow.
So I think that is perhaps the only thing missing. I am not able to spend a lot of time with family. हम त्योहार की बात करते हैं, हम अन्य चीज़ों की बात करते हैं, but the reality is कि आपका when you are in the district administration, it means you are here. You cannot just run around leaving your station. It is also very difficult for my officers also, because I also expect the same from them. In the district administration, if anything happens, any mishap happens, anything happens, any occurrence occurs, it is the district administration which is answerable and which is first approached. For example, if in one of my subdivisions horrible road accident occurs, my officers need to respond. And if I am somewhere away without due approvals or without accounting for my second in charge to IC of being here, if I don't account for that, then district administrations do not really work like that. So that does mean that I have to set an example. I have to be here as well. So it means that Diwali pe nahi, I have not been home to Chandigarh in a long time for Diwali and other festivals. So it's mostly my mother, for example, my parents, they come here and they join us here. But again, so what the only thing that helps is that being from an armed forces family, we've always been traveling, we've always been moving. There has never been a permanent home. So that helps. That helps.
सर आपने एक बहुत अच्छी पॉइंट बोला कि मैनेजिंग योर पर्सनल लाइफ एंड प्रोफेशनल लाइफ विच यू आर डिस्कसिंग कि मैं अभी वक्त नहीं दे पाता हूँ परिवार के लिए. उस दिन बैठ के मैं एक चीज़ सोच रहा था, बीइंग अ बॉय या बीइंग अ मैन, हमें स्कूल कॉलेज ज़िंदगी जीना सिखाता है, ज़िंदगी में आगे बढ़ना सिखाता है. एक अच्छा पति बनना और एक अच्छा बेटा बनना कोई नहीं सिखाता है, वो शायद ज़िंदगी सिखाता है. अब मैं जब ये पॉडकास्ट करता हूँ ना, मैं टिपिकल ब्यूरोक्रेटिक सवाल नहीं करता हूँ. मैं ये चाहता हूँ कि हम जनरेशन्स आप लोगों से एक इंसान बनना भी सीखे. क्या लगता है, व्हाट विल बी योर थॉट्स टू बी अ गुड हस्बैंड एंड ऑल्सो बी अ गुड सन?
Those two things are very important. मैंने जैसे आपको अपना दिनचर्या बताया कि दिन में the day involves a lot of meeting with other officials, reviewing work, monitoring work. brainstorming. The day doesn't involve a lot of paperwork.
Okay.
The paperwork happens at night when all the files, etc., will be dealt with and done in a timely manner. And nowadays, there's so many online portals where you have to process applications. So all of that also happens after work only, after work hours. Now, you have to understand why I do that. I could also be doing I could also not be giving a lot of importance to the projects, to the brainstorming, to various schemes that are being implemented. I could just sit at my desk, do the file work, paperwork, whatever files are coming across my desk, do that, do a little bit of public dealing, and be done and relax at home in the evening. So, do you know the reason why we used to aspire to be IAS officers? Because we saw deputy commissioners, we saw district magistrates working. We're like, okay, that is where we can make a change. That is where we can make a change, and that's actually true. DC is a post, district magistrate is a post where you have the bandwidth, you have the resources, and you are actually at the cutting edge level with the rest of your team, and you can make things happen. You can get development works executed. You can get schemes of the state government or the central government properly executed, which actually impact the people and bring positive impact on people's lives. Now when I am at that post where I will be, say, perhaps for a few years, should I not give my most to that work? I have to give my utmost to that work, and that is where then I cannot be, say, the best husband or the best son or the best father. And my family understands that. So they do support me. They understand that this position requires that you give your best to it, because if you don't give your best to it, then it's not worth sitting on this chair for. You have to give your best to it, and thankfully my family is accommodating. I try to sneak out time for them. And I do, and periodically and frequently I realize I need to do more of that. But I think this is equally important. If I'm not doing that, I'm not putting in more hours at this work, then my tenure will not fructify into anything. You need to review, you need to monitor, put more hours into work to be able to get those things done. For example, for this Shivratri Mela to happen and to be done in a better manner, it did require a lot of extra hours, extra work, and this is just a part of the DC position.
What's your age now, sir, right?
I'm 36 now.
36, around 6 years older than me. So I hope you also know the world is now revolving around reels. Everything, everybody, starting from a person who is driving an auto to, one of the senior most, everybody is on reels. Good things and bad things are also being taught or being, forwarded through this. कुछ चीज़ें मैं अभी देख रहा था, when I was doing a podcast with one of the ADGs, sir. Current situation, there are a lot of, extramarital affairs and separations having in a relationship. People say, if you are not good at your personal life, your professional life somewhere get hampers. Many of the youths are dicey. Nowadays, people also teaching, selection of your life partner and carry on the life. What's your take on the 36 years married, being a father? If I keep you aside a DC, just Apoorv, what will be your...
No, definitely choosing a life partner who can, who you can spend your life with. That's very important because... and
you had a love
that
marriage?
is... Yes.
Okay.
And that is where you are able to, balance professional and personal life as well.
Okay.
And if your aspirations, personal expectations and expectations from life do not match, then things
with the person?
don't... Yes, with your spouse, with the person you choose, then things don't really end well. There are lesser likelihoods. Of course, we are in a country where maximum number of arranged marriages occur.
Yep.
And so perhaps those things work in a different manner. But yes, I was very lucky. my wife, who is an advocate, who is a lawyer, she, of course, she being a law graduate from National Law School, Bangalore, and with Himachal not really having the corporate law, work atmosphere or such opportunities, so her work does suffer because of me. But then this is what we knew right in the beginning, that if you're jumping into it, this is bound to happen. And thankfully she is the most accommodating, and we do make things work, both of us, and with a lot of onus on her for raising the boys as well. But I think with her support, more support from her side, we are doing well.
What is the meaning of love for you?
यार ये कैसे सवाल है, ये ऐसे सवाल मत पूछो.
No, I'm just asking, like it's a sacrifice or it's like.
नहीं भाई, ऐसे मैंने इतना, आई थिंक वो टाइम हमारा निकल गया जब आपको तुम मुझसे 15 साल पहले पूछते कि व्हाट इज लव, तो मैं बड़ा वो. अच्छा,
ये मैं ऐसे पूछता हूँ कि 15 साल पहले वाला अपूर्व को देखते हो, जब आपने आपको देखते हो, व्हाट टिप्स यू वांट टू गिव? कुछ ऐसा लगता है कि उस टाइम पे अगर मैं ये चीज़ें समझ पाता या मैं कर लेता तो आज शायद और बेटर होता है, ऐसा कुछ महसूस होता है?
हाँ, I think there was a period when I was not really working very hard on the field of education I was pursuing.
Okay.
So perhaps things would have been better if I had focused a lot better on that. My parents were always of the kind that पढ़ाई पे ध्यान दो.
But recently you got distracted?
हाँ, that was a long time back.
Okay.
हाँ, मैं तो पहले की बात कर रहा हूँ, talking about graduation.
Okay.
So मैं इतना ध्यान नहीं देता था पढ़ाई में, मेरा ध्यान रहता था extra curricular activities.
Sports.
Cultural activities, extra curricular activities. So मेरा ध्यान उस पे रहता था, तो इतना पढ़ाई पे हम ध्यान नहीं देते थे. तो हालांकि मेरे पेरेंट्स हमेशा उनका यही from the word go यही रहता था that पढ़ाई is the most important.
Okay.
I think what I would have told myself, or if I could tell a younger version of myself, guide a younger version of myself, it would be that बड़ों की बात सुनो.
अच्छा.
उनको तजुर्बा है, दुनिया देखी है, तो उनकी बात में कुछ तो सत्य है. और बड़ों का यही मतलब नहीं है कि आपके पेरेंट्स, नॉट एवरीवन इज ब्लेस्ड टू हैव वाइज पेरेंट्स. Not everyone is lucky to grow up in a world with best of schools, or some are very impoverished families as well, and living in very different circumstances as well. So आपको अपने बड़ों की बात सुननी चाहिए, बड़ा भाई ही क्यों ना हो, उनकी गाइडेंस लो. हम क्या होते हैं, हम थोड़े रेबेलियन मोड में होते हैं टीनेज में. So that I think if I would have perhaps done better if I had listened to my parents. So that is definitely one thing that I would tell a younger version of myself. Then also I would tell a younger version of myself that the same things, that be truthful, be honest, and गुस्सा कम करो, समझो, दूसरों को समझो. The other person always has a version which you need to understand as well. Be compassionate, be kind. That is what I keep telling myself every day, and that is what something I would tell every younger person, young officers who are entering the service as well. You have to be kind.
Such a beautiful weather. It's raining and also sunlight.
So शिवरात्रि पे कहते हैं, जब कमरू नाग, बड़ा देव कमरू नाग शिवरात्रि के लिए मंडी आते हैं, तो बारिश होती है.
अच्छा, तो ये एक मतलब प्रचलन है.
Yes, this happens every time.
Okay. Last question. I won't take much of your time. आपने ये कहा कि बड़ों की बात सुनो, मेरे लिए आप बड़े हो. So what was, because being a civil servant, I know you all do a face reading. What's your study on me? Like, what you felt? I want an honest feedback. If you want any sort of feedbacks that because बड़ों की बात सुनूंगा तो मैं भी आगे जिंदगी में जाऊँ.
You are a no bullshit man, है ना? तो तुमसे जब मुलाकात हुई तो ऐसा नहीं लगा कि कई some similarly placed persons आपकी तरह who would want to do an interaction of this sort I don't think a lot of people meet IAS officers or people in any senior position, any influential position, without any agenda or without any work. I don't think people do that. So I was very glad to meet you. You are doing your work straight to the point and straight away about the work. So I think that was the best part of this entire interaction. And you also took out the time to, I did invite and ask you to stay a little bit longer in Mandi to take a look at the local culture, because this is a time when everyone wants to be here but everyone can't. So you took that as an opportunity,
It's an
and
honor, sir.
you yourself are immersed in Shivratri fervor. So wonderful meeting you. And
Any tips?
tips यही है कि again something that I would always tell.
I hope my all questions were okay.
हाँ क्या हो गया सर, ऐसा नहीं भी ओके होता तो क्या होता जो विचार बताने में क्या है क्या कह रहे थे हाँ
Tips.
हाँ तो this is something that I would tell anyone anyone rather. There's a lot of positivity in the world. We focus on the negative things in our lives, in our work, in the society around us. The positivity has to be spread as well. I think what you are trying to do is precisely that. You are not only trying to present the facts as they are.
What made you say yes to this? Because you get so many approach, being a DC, there's local medias, many people. Is there anything that I know you did a little bit of homework, but what
So I did, perhaps I would not have called back also. So the time right now.
That is okay, we'll stand here.
The time right now is such that I get hundreds of calls every day, particularly from artists to perform in the cultural evenings of Shivratri.
Okay.
So I genuinely am not able to answer a lot of them.
That's fine.
So when you called me, that is what I thought. I presume that it is perhaps one of those artists who who would like to perform during Shivratri. So then, being the unique name it was, I did go online and to look and to see what sort of artist you are. But then it turned out that you're not an artist, and I then came across a couple of your videos where you were genuinely interacting with other officers. So I thought, why not? And of course, things have to materialize, things have to fall in place. And when things are falling in place, you should not stop them. You should let them fall in place. So I think your plan was perfect. You were able to come during Shivratri. You were able to see what is going to start happening from tomorrow. And so, lucky us.
Thank you once more.
Not at all. Not at all. Pleasure meeting you. And keep spreading the positivity and be kind, be compassionate to other people. I'm sure the younger ones will learn a lot from you, from what you're doing. We want good people in the service. We want people who are enthusiastic about, making a change, because there is
there any change you see this new generation officers?
Oh, definitely. This is what do you say, Gen Z?
Gen Zs,
So they have a different way of looking at things. They have a different way of working. Our previous generations used to spend a lot of time with the newspaper. The Gen Z spends a lot of time in the virtual world on digital devices. So, and the social connect has also changed. There used to be a lot of families. There used to be joint families. अब वो nuclear families हो गए हैं. अब people are happier being alone rather than being with other people. So that is Gen Z. Now, whichever the service they are coming into, they have to, of course, mold themselves according to the service. If you're going to the armed forces, you have to be disciplined. You can't be all YOLO and FOMO. So similarly for the Indian administrative service, you have to mold as per the work ethic or the work culture of the service. You have to be an officer. So that is, I'm sure, Gen Z is being trained for that as well. Whatever generation comes, the training of 2 years, as I mentioned earlier, I think that's appropriate enough. And similarly for the probationers who come to my district for training, I have to groom them to be officer-like. Since they're out of college now, and they have to be officer-like.
So you properly groom them and you
have to-
teach
you have
them.
to tell them.
Because they are somewhere in the face of the districts, face of the government. They need
Definitely.
your walk,
definitely.
your talk, everything.
They're face of the service, they're face of the government, they are an officer. An officer, being an officer means something, right? So it is not a word you can take lightly. So being an army officer means something, so you cannot take that lightly. And similarly, being an IAS officer means something, you cannot take that lightly.
I wanted to end it. एक last सवाल out of curiosity. You are a rider. I met many of my friends who are riders, you know. They see life and everything in a different perspective. Why? Like, do you see also in the same way from a common man?
I must tell you that once you sit, if you are able to ride, and once you sit on the motorcycle and you get out from the house on the roads, and perhaps let's say you're riding to Rajasthan,
Okay.
going to Jaisalmer, you see the world so differently. You are carefree. You are living the world, seeing the world, experiencing so many cultures and foods. It gives you so much exposure. It does give you a lot of life lessons. So definitely that's traveling. If
travel.
I have to summarize, traveling is one thing that teaches you about the world.
What teaches you? Like, you also see that life in a different manner?
Because yes, definitely. Perhaps the experiences that I've been sharing with you, perhaps those are that is how I see life in a different manner. I am not saying that it would change someone drastically, but it gives you so many insights about people, about cultures, about food, so much exposure that you start seeing life in a different way, right? Life is so much bigger. We are but small parts of it. So